Hey, this is Dropped on Soccer's morning show. Soccer down here. John, here, you there. Thanks for hanging out with us. Very, very busy 2 hours. It's a wall past Wednesday, so it's always kind of busy and off the rails anyway. Remember, Soccer's in session live is at noon. My location is going to be a little different because the day that I've got is going to be in about, let's see, so 1, 2, 3, 4 different locations by the time we're done. And it starts here. I'll be doing Soccer's in Session live from Georgia Public Broadcasting because I got something to do the second that show is over. Then Mercedes-Benz for some stuff that you'll see on the weekend for those of you that drop by Mercedes-Benz on Saturday night. And then tonight, whoa, we're going to make it right. Atlanta United and Carolina Core here on the SDH Network. 7:15 pregame, 7:33 kick. And it'll be me on the call, me and you, and a dog named Boo. All of us right there. So it's going to be a very, very busy day across the network. But here on the morning show, Tyler Pilgrim joining us in about 8 minutes to discuss Atlanta United and their 3-0 win over Charlotte Independence last night in the round of 32 in U.S. Open Cup. And we'll go through all of that stuff. If Dylan Butler is not the busiest man in the Northeast, hopefully he can join us at 10 o'clock. But we got stuff to talk about overseas with folks that aren't interested in the coaching gig because of the players. The former players that always want to talk. So there's that and a lot of other stuff going on. But we'll go over Open Cup, what happened last night. We'll preview what's going to happen tonight in Open Cup and anything else on your mind. P.S. quoting Keith Olbermann in years past. We've got that. We got the other half of Champions League to get into today. And you like the easel? That's from the boss. That surprised me this morning. Our friends at Alliance Nurse Corps, once again, proud sponsors of everything here. SDH, once again, there's your QR code. I'll get my finger out of the way for anybody that wants to pursue a career in nursing. They got 30 years of experience in chasing after the nursing job that is right for you. Hit the QR code, and when they ask why and how you were interested, you say soccer down here. So there you go. There it is. All right, so morning show. And the magic of the Open Cup being what it is. You've got moments from last night. And so what we'll do before we get into Atlanta United and that coverage is get into probably one of the, if not the moment of the day from yesterday in U.S. Open Cup. The matchup between Detroit City and the defending champion Houston Dynamo, it went for a while. Here's how it ended. Courtesy of the U.S. Open Cup, its own self, and YouTube. Mike Watts on the call. Deep into PKs. Here's how it finished.
He's floated around the American soccer ecosystem. Saldana is about to have his moment in America's Cup. Saldana scores! Detroit knock out the reigning champ! On to the round of 16 for the first time for Detroit City Football Club. Tarbell first in the 11th round.
Tarbell steps up and he goes for power, looks confident, but he just steps up a little bit, leans back, gets too much height on that one. Saldana has to be thinking here, okay, now I'm going to have an opportunity of a lifetime, and absolutely rips it, keeps it low. That's a hard one to save.
And was it perhaps his best? No, but it's down to the right of the keeper's feet. The celebration is on in Detroit.
And celebration is on in Detroit for Detroit City. Le Rouge. Knocking off Le Champion. So Detroit City advances. That was probably one of the moments from last night. And to the point of the folks early on here in the Twitch pitch, it was great to see everybody last night out at the Fraction. Morning, Alex. Morning, Abby. Abby saw Abby last night. Abby has 3 tickets tonight to the Twos. Public service announcement. Abby wants to know if anybody wants them. Abby is heading to Billy Joel, like in New York, so she can't quite go. So that's where Abby's going. But 3 tickets to the Twos tonight for the Twos and Carolina Core. So catch up with Abby if you are interested. Like I said, it was great to see everybody last night, and it was the next stage to the round of 16 where Atlanta United will take on the winner of Dells Charleston Battery and South Georgia Tormenta because of H2. Abby's son has indoor soccer. He can't use them. So, outdoor soccer tonight. Abby has 3 ducats. Anybody that wants them, catch up with Abby. But, yes, because of the H1, H2 scenario in Open Cup, you end up with Atlanta United going to either Charleston or Statesboro. Charleston or Statesboro. That's next go-round. So, there we go. You got that coming up in 2 weeks' time. Derek, however, understandably so, he's worried about the large, fast, tall man. Yes, the large, fast, tall man. It is concussion protocol, so we'll keep an eye on it. But that is where things are with him. Obviously, you're going to in a situation like that, what you're going to do is you are going to err on the side of caution, and that was why the substitution numbers might have looked a little strange last night. The substitution for Noah Cobb was a concussion sub. So when Gonzalo Pineda speaks to the media Thursday, or at least training with Thursday, and then maybe has a better answer Friday or maybe even Saturday morning when it comes to the LFTM, we will know. The large, fast, tall man, we don't know. Yeah, well. And vertical leap sometimes has its disadvantages. But no, I mean, you're not going to, for a double negative, you're not going to not stick into a duel opportunity. So that's where the LFTM happened last night. And so Stian Gregerson lasted the sum total of 11th minute. But obviously we'll keep an eye on that for the weekend. But last night was an opportunity to see a lot of the younger players. And so it was very, very interesting to see that. Like I said, we'll talk to Tyler about that last night. And Abby mentions the support that was there. Tyler Wolf with a knee brace. You got to see Saba, Derek Williams, Goose, Gigi, Tristan Muyumba. And that's the thing. You get a lot of players who were there last night. Jose Silva, the assistant coach for the Twos, was there last night. Ran into him as we were leaving the match. And so you'll hear from Jose and you'll hear from Noble Okello in the pregame show coming up tonight about the season and the quick turnaround from NYCFC2 and the matchup against Carolina Core. But Jose Silva, Noble Okello will be the guests in the pregame show tonight, brought to us by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Kaiser Permanente, for all that is you. Once again, Atlanta United, Carolina Core, 7:15 pregame, somewhere in there, and it'll be 7:33 kick across the network. Soccerdownhere.mixler.com, and with the Soccer Down Here network being the way it is, I have to say it this way now. This is on the mothership tonight. We don't have any high school or anything else that is going up as a part of the network as well. But soccerdownhere.mixler.com, that's the web address if you believe in just listening to things on your laptop. Or you can go onto your app store, as I sit here and try and find it quickly before we bring Tyler in. Mixler, you see the app loading. For those of you who are watching on the medias that are social, you can download the Mixler app, MIXLR. Follow Soccer Down Here. Follow SDH2, Soccer Down Here 2. As much as I'd like to say SDH2, it's Soccer Down Here and Soccer Down Here 2. Set your notifications for when there's an event. That's where all of our lives go, LIVES, and where all of our lives go, LIFES. But where the live events go, it is Soccer Down Here on Mixler and Soccer Down Here 2.mixler. So that's where we are. We have two channels in one now for the network, because simultaneous events mean we've got to be in more than one place at a time. All right, 9:15. No dilly, no dally. He was on time. I was babbling, and that's just how it goes. I mean, traditionally, Tyler's like Abe Gordon. Abe is on the Tom Coughlin scale, where if you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, the door is shut and you're not coming in.
I like to have that reputation. I do my best.
Most important question of the morning, what's the mug and what's in it?
So I am making up for a tragedy last week. I missed on our show on here last week. I missed the opportunity.
Oh,
because it was May the 4th.
True.
And I did not do the Mandalorian Cup. So okay. I'm attributing that to why Atlanta lost, and I'm fixing it now.
Okay, so there we go. So is Daddy Water in there in the morning after the late night, or and the article that was written about said matchup, or are you
Yep.
actually dealing with caffeine?
No, it's the good old fashioned. It's Colombian roast
Okay.
coffee this
All
morning.
right.
So,
So you'll be fired up out of the blocks as we go here. So
yeah,
all right.
all jacked up on Colombian coffee.
Juan Valdez and Tyler Pilgrim. Here we go. Let's go through what happened last night, and we'll take it a 45 at a time. We do have a highlight accompaniment, by the way. So when we get into the second half, we will actually be playing highlights to kind of help tell the tale of what happened last night in round of 32. That's because I actually sat down early enough to where I could cut the highlights last night and drop them in here as to what we're doing. First 45, you saw the starting 11. What was running through your head?
I was excited. I was really, really excited to see Ashton Gordon get a start with, I say the first team. It's the first team, but also like it was a ragtag crew, right? It was not a starting 11 you're going to see in pretty much any MLS match.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Ashton Gordon and Matt Edwards both have shown in their respective, age groups and divisions and whatever else that they have a reason to be here. And I think Daniel Rios said it really well last night that, he went to Ashton especially, but some of the younger guys and told them that, you're here for a reason and the club believes in you. So, go out, play with confidence. But I mean, I was excited. I was excited to see Stian Gregerson get some time again, coming off of the knee injury. He needs it. I think, we could probably be yelling a lot more about Atlanta's defense, but Atlanta's defense hasn't been that bad. But I think the team is just overall better and maybe a little more well organized when Gregerson is on the pitch. So it was nice to see him come back. And then, of course, we saw what happened. But I mean, I think to answer the question simply, I was excited because I was excited to see some of the guys that aren't getting any minutes or getting very minimal minutes get that time to really go and show out in a competition that should mean a lot to people because it is at this point the easiest, quote unquote, the easiest pathway to a piece of silverware that Atlanta United can have.
Yes, we have coined an acronym for Stian Gregerson, the LFTM, the large, fast, tall man.
Yes, I like that.
Yes, the large, fast, tall man. When you've got a deep safety like you have with Stian, I mean, you've got a couple of free safeties back there in Stian and Noah who are very, very Ed Reedish. It's like you can do whatever you want. You want to try to throw it over me, that's great. You want to try to run past me and catch it, mid stride, that's fantastic. But I'm going to track it down. I'm going to track you down, and I'm going to lock you down. And when you've got a couple of lockdown safeties back there, that's a good thing to have. And then when you compare it to the corners that you've got with Caleb and Brooks or whoever wants to be that, the rover back there, when you go to 5 DBs, when you're rushing 3 and you're dropping 8, I mean, it's fun to see what the closing speed is for Gregerson, the closing speed for Noah Cobb, and what you can get defensively from this group this season. And I know that we only got to see it with like 11 minutes with Stian, but it was good to see him out there last night coming back from the knee injury.
Yeah, and I think it's nice to know that essentially, I mean, unless something drastic changes between what we heard last night, that injury, whatever happened, wasn't like a re-aggravated knee thing. It was a concussion issue. It was a concussion concern. And, you have to take him out at that point. There's no reason to risk anything. But I was glad to hear that it wasn't that same knee that he had surgery on coming back to bite him. So I think, but like what you're saying, it's funny. I was thinking about it last night. Like Stian is like sneaky fast. Noah Cobb is sneakier fast. And then Efrain Morales, who, I mean, I've loved watching him over the past few matches. And again, if you watch the twos, you know what you're getting.
Yep.
But it is so good to see both of them, Noah and Efrain. It was cool, first of all, seeing them together for most of the match last night, which is kind of like a cool, almost like a cameo appearance of the twos, being in this Open Cup match.
And a look into the hourglass of the future for that night.
And it was good. It was really good. And, Efrain Morales at one point went up for an aerial duel against two guys and won the aerial duel and won possession back from this aerial duel. I mean, it's just little things, like that where you're seeing how much they've grown both physically and mentally and maturity in the game. But the positioning was good. The athleticism is clearly there. I think they're learning from having guys like Stian and Derek Williams kind of back there, and Abram. Got to give credit to Abram as well, that are kind of mentoring them, I think, a little bit. And that's also, credit to all the guys over the years that they've been with the club that have helped them mature. But I really think they're growing into their own as two really solid center backs.
Yeah, and that's the fun part of the growth of what we're seeing here, and you get that you get that glimpse into the future in these situations. Yes, but there are times where you sit there and you're like, man, it's like we gotta have them in there today, and you end up with that glimpse of the future of the first team. So 45 minutes in the books, we had the feeling, and rightfully so, that Mike Jeffries and I think anybody who is going to be looking at Atlanta United in the near future is going to be one of those where you're going to have 17 dudes behind the ball. I mean, you're going to go to the Laredo garage, you're going to knock on every door, and it's going to be MARTA buses and the trains and anything, and you're just going to sit there and go, oh, I don't know where the keys went. It's just stuck right here. Yeah, it's like I can't move this bus. I can't. The trains. I'm sorry, trains stopped running. Bus schedule. I don't have a schedule. I don't have the keys. I can't get into this bus. And
AAA's not here. Can't move them.
No,
can't
you can't. And it's just you know that this is what it's going to be going in. And that first 45, Atlanta United had their chances. Luke Brennan down the right-hand side, and a couple of other opportunities on some cutbacks. But it was goalless at the break. But you knew that Charlotte was going to do what they did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a surprise to anybody. And I think what do you do in the beautiful game in the world over the past 100 years if you're playing a superior opponent? You park the bus or the MARTA train or whatever, and then you just wait for the counter. And to be fair, Charlotte had a couple of opportunities, especially early on. When we go back to the first half, you had the moment where Atlanta took a corner and it ended up back out at almost the center circle. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember if it was Matt Edwards or whoever it was that slipped, because there was an ice patch.
It was Matt. Yeah.
Yeah. Over there in that from where we were at, the far side, kind of near center circle, that was made of ice or grease or something. Everybody was falling over there. But yeah, Matt fell. Then it's 1v1 essentially versus the goalkeeper, but he does a great job getting back. And
then who else got back in a hurry?
I think it was Noah, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, zooming, but they both did a great job after a mistake. But again, it's those little things that almost bit Atlanta. And going back to what you said a minute ago, I think fans maybe have a little bit of PTSD because you've got things that over the past 5 matches have kind of crept in, right? You're making little silly mistakes. You're allowing teams that you should be beating a moment to feel like they have a chance. And Atlanta almost gave that to Charlotte yesterday. But then you get to the second half, and I think they came out on the right foot, quite literally. Nick Firmino, he had been trying for it all game, but that final third little, I guess that final touch from everybody just wasn't there. The crossing was just a step off. Luke Brennan and even Ashton Gordon did a great job getting into really good spaces, but it was just that final product. And But it felt like it was coming. It felt like it was coming. And Nick Firmino said it last night. They didn't want to give Charlotte any more belief that they could come back into this match.
Yeah, and Derek mentions the PK that wasn't called.
Yep.
Yeah, it's you look at it at full speed and you're like, okay, I could see why it was positioned outside the 18, and then you kind of zapruder it a little bit and you sit there and you go, okay, yeah, dude was inside the box.
Yeah.
But hey, you know, in reffing down here, no VAR. Yeah, and no VAS, no VAR, and so you end up with just okay, it's outside the box, and that was I think that was the Obregon pump fake. And this is pet peeve on mine. Why does anybody have anybody laying down inside, on a close range free kick opportunity? Why do you have people laying down behind the initial wall? That to me is a pet peeve. I'm sorry.
You don't like it?
No, because think about it. You've already got a man. You're a man down, literally and figuratively, and then the team that is with the set piece. Everybody, they got 10 that are standing. You got 9 standing and 1 down who's got to get up on his feet and try and react to a situation. I mean, honestly, if you're going to do something like that, give me 3 or 4 on the wall and then a guy directly behind it. It's like give me. Let's like stand 4 and then have that second level be another dude instead of just laying down, because once that ball is kicked, you've got to get up, you've got to get your footing, and you've got to figure out where the ball is and get oriented. I've never been a fan of something like that.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody that's not ever been in a similar situation of everybody in here probably at some point has played a pickup game of soccer where, that ball gets popped up in the air, or baseball or whatever. And you're like, it was such a close, moment that you're like, where'd the ball go? Mm-hmm. You're looking around and you can't kind of get your bearings. And then all of a sudden the ball lands either on your head or behind you somewhere. And you're like, oh crap. So yeah, you have to, first of all, you're facing away from the kick because
correct.
You don't want to get drilled in the face.
You don't want a select tattoo right in the middle of your forehead.
Yep. And then the kick comes and you hear it, and then you hopefully hear a deflection. But if not, then you have a front row seat to the inevitable either goal or it getting skied over the top of the goal.
Uh-huh.
But if you hear that deflection, then you got to get up and find the ball, run around, do that kind of jumping around motion.
It's like Blutarski trying to break into the dean's office where you see him hop and he's looking like this. And it's one of these kind of things. You're sitting there and it's like, okay, where is it?
Yep.
Oh yeah. I can't say it drives me.
And they had to do it twice last night.
Yeah.
Atlanta did.
Yeah. So you ended up with that. To me, that just gets to me. Oh, by the way, here was goal number 1.
Party rolling it down the middle to Rios. Back to McCarty in front of center circle. He'll accelerate now. Play it up to Brennan. Overlapping Edwards. Brennan ahead to Edwards. Right side of the 18. Cut back pass. Firmino. Shot! Score! And Atlanta United gets the breakthrough in the 52nd minute. That right flank has been dominant all night. And it finds Firmino for the first goal of the match.
So that was courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Mike, 6 minutes into the second half, and I think you could sense that it was coming because of there's only so many minutes that you can defend if you're Charlotte and defend in that way like you did in that first 45, because as Atlanta United continued to just pound that defensive left-hand side, that they're just pound. I mean, Luke Brennan running all night long. Everybody running all night long down that right-hand side. There's only so much you can do before you're gassed. And I think that's when it started early in the second half, because they just pounding it and pounding it and pounding it and just pounding the rock down that same side, and you finally get that breakthrough.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll take 1 second and I'll be critical of Luke Brennan. And I'm only doing this because it's just something I've seen and something that I would love to see him add to his game.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to work better on his left foot. I think he's got to be more confident on his left foot, because I think he has the talent. Like he can play a cross in like the best of them. But I think sometimes he defaults too much to trying to do everything with his right foot. And I think that slows up some of the attacks occasionally. So that would be something I would like to see him just add to his repertoire.
Mm-hmm. So he's an inverted Miguel Almiron, is what you're saying.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Well, I'll take any kind of Miguel Almiron again. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like that GIF, and there's a few of them of like the guy just like standing there and he's getting shot over and over and over again, and he just won't fall down, And that was Charlotte last night at some points, because Atlanta was getting into the final third. They were getting there, especially down that right hand side, and they were putting the balls in. And Charlotte did some great defending in the first half, but it had to break at some point, and it finally did. And it was, I think, the way that Charlotte was set up defensively, they were really cognizant of those kind of diagonal balls into the box from the kind of top outside of the box coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And they did well defending them. But then when Atlanta started, dribbling closer to the end line and then providing that cutback, I think it definitely spread some folks out. And then Nick Firmino, he lives and breathes and dies at the top of the box. And he was there, and he did what he does best.
No doubt about it. And then one turned into two, once again, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app.
As Cohen will send this from right to left and drives it down the left wing, looking for Rios. Bounces behind him into the run of Wiley, who chests it down to the left side of the 18. Wiley, cut back, cross, Firmino, shot, score! The Magic Man pulls a brace out of his hat. And what an assist by Caleb Wiley to double the Atlanta United lead.
To your point about the runs that we saw from Atlanta United, Caleb Wiley coming down, and to your point about the ice surface that was at the Fraction last night, the ball, once it hit the ground on that first bounce, it took a long skip. I mean, literally, you see that first bounce, and then it doesn't take a natural second hop. It literally kind of jumped on the defender, and it goes past them, and then Caleb jumps on it, and you end up with the nice cutback pass to make it 2-0. But that's what you see it. You sit there and it's like, okay, hit him again, hit him again, hit him again. And that's what you kept seeing on tape, and you kept seeing it's like, it's there. And you did it again, make it 2-0.
Yeah. This was my favorite goal of the night, I think, because it came off a goal kick. Josh Cohen sends the ball forward, and it was intended, I think, for Daniel Rios, and Daniel Rios is there. He's fighting with the defender, and I think at the last second, I'm gonna give Daniel Rios credit. At the last second, I think he realizes they're positioned a little too. The ball had a little too much carry on it, so it was going to go over them. So he kind of gives the defender a little bit of a nudge, knowing that he's got Caleb because he saw him making that run next to him. There's nobody else over there, so he gives him a little bit of a nudge that takes the defender out of the play entirely. And to your point, that ball hit the ground and it just kept going. And Caleb got on the end of it, and he controlled it well and took it all the way to the touchline. There was a second where I was like, that's about to go out, but he sends it very diagonally back across the top of the box. And who's there? Nick Firmino again, living and dying at the top of the box.
Nothing wrong with that. That was two at that point. And then once again, Mickey yells at Rocky, now! And it happens again. And then Rocky starts to fight with the left. And you end up with Daniel Rios getting the third highlight. Once again, courtesy of our friends at 92.9 The Game and the Odyssey app. Drink your morning beverage for 30 seconds.
A drive by Cohen down the right wing. Lennon glances it ahead to Shande Silva. It lands to him right side of the 18. He takes a touch to the end line. Here's his cross. Shot, score! Daniel Rios! And Atlanta United is going to the round of the 16 of the U.S. Open Cup. There's no doubt now. 3-0 they lead.
That's true. There was no doubt. And so, as we talked about before you came on, it's going to end up being a trip to either Statesboro or Charleston, depending on what happens tonight.
Please, Statesboro.
Oh, I don't think, though, as much as I'd love for it to be at Paulson, I don't think Paulson's wide enough.
Yeah.
I don't think it's wide enough, but it would be at Tormenta Stadium at Optum Sports Medicine Field. And the most important person there, we say it a lot on High School Football Fridays, the most important person there will be the fire marshal, because he will be the one to sit there and say, yes, you, you're serving number 26. Yes, you can come in, party of 4. Sure. Why not? It will be it'd probably be one of the biggest crowds, if not the biggest crowd that they have had in Tormenta history. for that to happen there on that campus. But I don't think that Paulson is regulation. I don't think it's wide enough. I think it's obviously it's long enough because of the American football configuration, but I don't think it's wide enough to allot for an FUT BOL match. But we got the chance to catch up with Gonzalo and Nick and Daniel Rios after the match. What are your takeaways now that you've had the night to sleep on it after you wrote a piece about it?
I go back to one of the things that, again, Rio said. I've already mentioned it a little bit, but Pineda, first of all, said that Daniel Rios did a lot of the dirty work, and then he got rewarded with the goal, which I think is true. And I think it's easy to look at a striker, right? And if they're not putting up the hard numbers of goals and at least assists, then it's easy to kind of write them off. Daniel Rios has actually put up the numbers so far, as has Jamal Tiare, which is just so great to say that you have backup strikers that are doing backup striker things. But also, like, it's more than that. It is what they bring to the pitch overall. And I think Daniel Rios last night, he was one of the veteran guys on the field in the starting 11. And you've got a guy who recognized the differences out wide, recognized the difference of the number 10 that is just behind him, and he adapted well to it. And he dropped back deeper when he needed to. He played out wider when he needed to. He, I think, played a very mature game and a very veteran game. And it's easy to look over that because, I mean, you're like, cool. I mean, he got a goal and he deserved it. But he did so much more than that. And so he talked a little bit about the extra work that he did. But Pineda gave him props too. And I think it's worth shouting out because I thought he did a solid job. And it's nice to kind of have that. We refer to it as the spine, right? But you had Dax in the middle. Nick Firmino is no, rookie, but Nick Firmino's young. But then you have, Rios up front, who's played in plenty of teams and plenty of competitions. So it was a well-peppered seasoning of veterans to help kind of keep the young guys where they need to be. And it worked out well.
Yep. Atlanta United advances to the round of 16 U.S. Open Cup. 3-0 winners over Charlotte Independence out of USL League One. Tyler Pilgrim at Scarves N Spikes hanging out with us here as he always does to lead off our Wall Pass Wednesday. And it was interesting after the match. And this is something that I don't think we really hang on to or think about unless it's mentioned. And when Daniel Rios was discussing what it's like just to get settled in off the field, I thought that was really interesting last night. And it's something that we don't really think about until a player mentions all of the off the field stuff that they've got to do. Not to mention, it's like, okay, I've got my new club. I've got to get, everybody's wearing the name tag on the forehead, and it's like, hello, my name is kind of a moment. Hello, my name is Daniel. You were walking into the building, but he mentioned last night the off the field stuff, and I thought that was really interesting, in that it doesn't trigger in our brains until that gets mentioned.
Yeah, and you have to think too. For Daniel Rios, he mentioned like last Friday was kind of when he felt, I think, like fully settled. I don't remember what his quote was exactly, but yeah, he was like, it's the many other things. It's get a car, get in your apartment or whatever house. There's paperwork, incessant paperwork that you have to deal with. There's so much stuff that goes into just getting settled at a club, and that can affect your job. Like, not just talking about soccer, but like in general, you make a move across the country or to another country, it's going to take you a while to get settled in. It doesn't matter what you're doing. And yeah, so like for him to go into the detail that he did, I thought was really neat. But also, I think it kind of puts into perspective too. Like, Daniel Rios has lived in the United States for quite a while, actually. Then he moved back to Mexico, and then he moved back here. So, like, it's not like he was totally unfamiliar. And I mean, he already had his green card, things like that. So there was actually a lot of steps that maybe he bypassed. But then you look at somebody like Jamal Tiare, who barely speaks English at all. and then he makes the move over here, one of his first times coming to the country, how long it would take him to get settled in. And I think it helps you kind of have a little bit more grace for, players and help people realize like they're people, like they're people, they're not robots. They have a lot of things to get settled into and to get accustomed to. And it's not just going out on a pitch for 90 minutes on a Saturday and putting in a good performance and making everybody happy. It's so much more than that. They're living without their wives, without their kids, for a while. I mean, Sean De Silva did it for like 6 months last year without his family here. So, I would be devastated. I know my family would support me, and if that opportunity ever happened, something similar. But it still sucks, because you're without your support. You're without the people that love you, and that goes into, I think, a lot of the psychological aspect of the game.
Yeah, and I think that I know that we look at it and it doesn't really register, and then you sit there and you think about it and you go, man, that's right. He's married or he's here by himself and he doesn't know anyone, and his life is basically, okay, I've got to figure out, can someone give me a lift to practice? Can someone take me home to practice? If if I need to go out and get a bite to eat, am I Uber Eatsing everything, or am I actually, walking to a restaurant or taking, whatever? All of those little things that we take for granted, add that to a professional athlete who is in an entirely different city or an entirely different country. I mean, obviously somebody like Dax McCarty, who knows what it's like to kind of pack a bag and be in a different city over time, he would have a better understanding of something like that. But yeah, Daniel Rios, who was here, then he's not, now he's back. It's just all these little things. It didn't quite trigger until he mentioned it last night. And I thought it was really eye-opening that he's like, yeah, I've been here a month and it finally has kind of settled in. But now that my family is here, it's like, what was it? It was at the end of Trouble with the Curve, where the scouts are around the table and they mentioned that, ever since the one player had his family brought in, he's hitting like over 400 or something.
Oh yeah.
And you have those kinds of moments, and then you're like, yeah, that does check. And so the importance of something like that as you're trying to build and be the new guy and be in a new place, I just thought it was really eye-opening. And frankly, you don't really hear athletes talk about it a lot. They're not that open about those kinds of things, I guess because they perceive it as, some kind of an excuse or a weakness or something if they mention these kind of external factors that might contribute to something.
Yeah, the conversation came up earlier this year over on Scarves and Spikes at some point. I think we were referring specifically to Josh Cohen, and people were like, why are we not seeing Cohen? Like, where is he? And this was like in preseason where people were like, is he alive? Like, where is he at? And I was like, first of all, like, yes, the dude, he was born in the United States. I get that. However, he has lived literally on the other side of the world for the past 4 years.
Yeah.
You don't just get back here and then just go right back into it where you left off. You have to go get another driver's license. You have to go get a car. You still got to get a house. You got to get your family here. You got so many little things. And this is for a guy that was born and raised in the United States. So then go and look at, and it's like simple stuff. Like I always think of Zootopia and the DMV, and like you've got the sloth that's working there, right? That is Zootopia, right? Am I thinking of the right movie?
That sounds good to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've got guys that might have to miss an afternoon of practice because they have to go get a driver's license. Like it's little things like that where, we might be there for an open training session one day, and we're like, hey, where is so-and-so? And they'll say, well, he had to be out for whatever reason. And I've heard them say before, like, oh, he had to go get his driver's license. That's not like let me just go run by the DMV real quick and pick up that driver's license and get back to training.
It's not.
No, you're going to go sit up there while the sloth, works their way through all the paperwork and then takes your picture. And then you finally get your driver's license and it's a piece of paper.
Mr. Pilgrim serving number 78. Pilgrim.
Yep. That's it. So, but it's just those little things, right? It's those little things like you again, they're people. They're not robots. They have lives to live. And I'm sorry I triggered everybody with DMV comments this morning. It's too early. I haven't had enough coffee yet for this, but it is a fascinating aspect of the game that I would like to look into more, actually, because it's not talked about enough, I feel.
What did you think of Josh's performance last night? He seems to be becoming more vocal, for lack of a better phrase. You're hearing Josh a little more.
Yeah, I was really impressed. We hear him at the training ground, right? We hear, to be fair, we hear Quentin Westberg at the training ground. Like it's you're not going to hear this stuff in the bins. Mm-hmm. That's maybe one of the downsides of playing in front of 40-something thousand people. But we were up in the press box, and with one window open, and in the first half, you could hear pretty much everything that Josh Cohen was saying. And
second floor window, brother. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, and it was great. I mean, he's directing traffic. He is telling his back line, his young guys back there, where everybody's at, where they need to be. He's communicating with Dax McCarty so that connection up the spine is there. And then you kind of hear Dax communicating things out to the wings and up top. And the communication was there, and it was really, really good. But it all started with Josh Cohen. And yeah, I mean, he's a different kind of yelling than Brad, but it was definitely like something that was very noticeable. And I think it was effective because at times you could hear like Noah Cobb communicating back with him. You could hear somewhat Matt Edwards, who's some soft-spoken. Yeah. But you could hear the dialogue between the two, and you could see what Josh Cohen was saying, it being received by, whoever, and then them adjusting to what it is that he's seeing from, the full view behind. So I was impressed overall. I mean, he made a couple of really good stops in the second half as well, a couple of good saves. And I mean, we all know that Brad is close, whether it's the end of this year or whenever he decides to hang it up. Mm-hmm. I mean, he just age, right? Like there's nothing against Brad, it's just age.
Yeah.
I hope that Josh Cohen is around to be the next one to just step in.
Yeah, and obviously Josh not afraid to leave the box. He's not afraid to go outside the 18 and kind of be a part of things, creating an odd man rush in a power play situation at times.
It's center circle, and I'm like, that's a long way.
that's a brave dude who's got command of what's going on. So I mean, that was interesting at the same time to see Josh. I mean, yeah, it's like nothing wrong with being aggressive and being outside the 18, but that folks might have sat there and gotten a couple of gray hairs last night with what Josh was doing against Charlotte. Tyler Pilgrim hanging out with us at ATL Pilgrim on the 280 character app at Scarves, the letter N, Spikes. Did you have the chance to catch up with your other SNSers after last night and just kind of get the lay of the land from them and about what they thought after what happened last night?
Yeah. I got to talk to you about Henry in a second.
Uh-oh. Oh, that's true. You do. Yes, you do.
Yep. No, but I did. And, we chatted, and I think going into this game and even coming out of it, really, I think the consensus was the team had to win this game.
Yeah.
Pineda had to win this game. The repercussions of not winning this game were way, way, way bigger than if you did win the game. Because, like, if you won the game, it was one of those that you should have won. You're playing against a USL one side. Like, you should handily beat them. And they did. They handled business, which is great. But now you got to go back to MLS and do it at home. You've got to snap the issues that are going on in MLS. And so I think that's kind of where everybody's head is at, very long-term view. The team just has to go on a bit of a repair run, I think, at this point to just kind of get back on track. Like, you've dropped so many points at home. You've dropped so many points in general. But Pineda, going back to the post-match stuff, Pineda said it really well last night. This is something I brought up to Henry and Sydney last night. This might be the game because it's happened before.
Yeah.
You play some quote unquote innocuous game that just, you should win, but it snaps a winless streak, and it just fixes things. It gets you back on track.
It reminds
And
you of what you're capable of, even
exactly.
if it was a Division III opponent.
Yeah, it reminds you of winning ways. And I don't remember what team he was referring to last night, but he said he talked with somebody about you know, a team that was having some struggles, and then they went and they made a run in the Open Cup. They won some matches and got their MLS season back on track, and it kind of fixed things. It kind of got everything back in order. And sometimes that's all it is. It's just you kind of need a slap in the face, but then you also need like a big hug, like winning, to just say like, oh, I remember how this feels.
Yeah, like when Minnie Driver hit John Cusack toward the end of Grosse Pointe and Blank.
Yeah.
It gives him the big slap. Welcome home,
Yeah, just like the really, really hard slap on the back. It's like, I love you, but also like, I'm glad you figured it out,
Yeah. So, okay. So we'll get to DC in a second, but most importantly, all right. So with Henry, there was a discussion last night that we were having while we were waiting for folks. And I feel that it is worthy of discussing here and bringing out into an open forum to kind of pull the curtain back about media and the relationships we have with one another inside our organization. So if you would please, sir, explain the situation that you have with young Henry, and please explain what's up with Henry 2.0 and why we're discussing him on the show this morning.
Yes, young Henry. He is, so he writes articles. He does our recap articles and plenty of other stuff.
Yeah,
over on Scarves and Spikes. He has also been given the I'll just say the position. It was his idea of keeping a table of predictions.
Okay.
So before every match, we go and we give our predictions, and you get a point if you get the score right. You get a point. No, I'm sorry. You get a point if you get the score right. You get a point if you get the team that won right,
okay,
or drew, whatever.
Okay.
So a max of 2 points per match.
Okay.
And there's 6 of us, and I'm not doing well. Just be honest.
Sure.
So I got this one right last night. I predicted 3-0.
Okay.
And I just reminded Henry he's got to go and make sure he puts these into the table so that I can get some points and move myself from the wooden spoon up above wooden spoon territory.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, I wasn't doing them. I wasn't doing the predictions for this one. I didn't ask everybody. I was like, no, you're doing it. So then you brought up, like, isn't there like a
Magna Carta?
Yeah, Magna Carta.
Jared brought up there's a Magna Carta for this.
Yeah. So in the rules, it says that Henry just needs to do this, and Henry cannot skip, such an important match as the Open Cup and pretend like Tyler's prediction doesn't matter. It says so in the rules.
You realize that's an extra $1 for you for going third person.
You went third, but is it for me or do I have to pay it?
That's $1 in the jar. Wherever your jar is, that's $1 in the jar because you referenced yourself in third person.
Okay. Well, I'm probably going to do it again in a minute, so it'll be 2.
Okay. There you go.
So anyway, I actually brought the Magna Carta.
Oh,
I brought it. I got it show and tell.
Okay.
Right? Here it is.
Okay.
See how old this is.
Okay. There we go. Okay. So it does exist.
It does exist.
Okay. Rules.
Yes. I'll read it really quick.
Go for it.
And look, it's even in cursive.
Man, I can't.
You see how old this document is?
Well, yeah, mine's chicken scratch, so I completely understand what's going on. I get it.
All right. This document hereby declares the founding of Scarves and Spikes and its inalienable place in the Atlanta United media landscape.
Mm-hmm.
Recognizing the dire need for more opinions about soccer in Atlanta, Scarves and Spikes shall henceforth be the oracle of all things scarf and spike related.
Henceforth.
With a solemn vow to be accurate and possibly entertaining,
solemn vow.
Scarves and Spikes promises to inform the citizens of Georgia and its surrounding hamlets, such as Orlando and Nashville, with all Atlanta United news.
Right.
This proclamation grants Scarves and Spikes the divine right to analysis and opinion. In witness thereof, let it be known that Scarves and Spikes is an official institution. One more line. And lest we forget let it be known that Henry must solemnly swear to properly add Tyler's points to the prediction table.
That's an absolute banger.
There you go.
And
So-
then look,
Yeah, see?
signed.
Ha ha. See? There you go. So
Survey says one more for the good guys.
that's an easy one. I mean, come on now. Come on, people. Yeah, Bart says it looks legit to him.
It's legit.
It is a legitimate document.
Yeah.
Look, so
Legally binding and everything.
Look, if a fellow journalistic and opinionated endeavor, as Bart is over at the Soccer for US POD, recognizes side-by-side Magna Cartas for rules of engagement within other organizations, I think that this is like the United Nations of Atlanta Unitedness and all of the organizations therein. I see how this works.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's a handful out there, and I'm sure y'all have a Magna Carta somewhere.
I'm sure that Jason has probably written something 8
Yeah.
years ago. Yeah.
It's probably locked up in a safe somewhere.
A hermetically sealed skiff like the ACC has for theirs.
Yeah.
Where you can't, it never leaves the skiff. You have to go into the skiff, and there's the spotlight, like you're in the box for homicide. When you go in and you're homicide life on the street, you sit at the table, and the box is there, and you have the one light that swings back and forth like this, and Andre Brower sits there and looks over your shoulder, and he tries
it's like blinking.
Yes, it's kind of shorting out and everything. But yes, the hermetically sealed rules of engagement for SDH have never left that skiff. You need executive permission and a key card, a thumbprint, and an ocular representation to get in. It has never left that skiff. 8 years of it not having left that skiff. And you better put that under glass lock and key, sir. So young Henry 2.0, knows that he is responsible for the activities therein that are associated with his occupation.
He can't be shirking his opportunities. It's
No.
literally in the Constitution.
Yeah. So Bart says that we only strive for truth and veracity over at Soccer for US. See, truth and veracity. And so with you, he's right there. So look, you have other organizations that are pairing with you here. They're siding with you.
Help me hold Henry accountable.
Involving Henry 2.0. What's going on as you get ready for the upcoming DC United match and the Belgian bread loaf, Christian Benteke?
The guy that I hope has his crappy game and not his, opening MLS Day 2024 game.
Correct.
So it's a little slower this week. I didn't reach out to MLS specifically for a guest this
we
week.
were kind of busy. I mean,
it's a little bit busy. So
competition going simultaneously.
Yeah,
the DC United aren't engaged in. Just saying.
No, we'll be back though. We'll have a regular show tonight over on Scarves and Spikes on the YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. It'll be at 7:00, and we're just gonna chat. Obviously, the Open Cup and look a little forward to DC. See what's going on with them. See which version of DC might show up at the bins this weekend.
I don't know.
Never know.
Captain Kirk, you won't give us the Genesis device? Hokey doke.
Okay.
Hokey doke. Great to know. Thanks, Captain Kirk. You've been great.
That was a really good impression. That was really good.
I try. Elaine, 7,294 miles from here to Rio de Janeiro.
I need you to do like a whole show like this.
like all the voices that are in my head.
Yes. That would be amazing. Just put like 4 different cameras and have 4 different screens.
Well, I mean, I could activate the laptop. That's one. I could activate second laptop over here. That'd be the third one. I would need a 4th camera here. So literally you're saying that every camera has a different character that addresses it?
Yeah, that would be amazing.
I see how this plays. All right. I'm down with that. Go finish the rest of your Mandalorian-based daddy water, and we will see you Saturday.
Yep.
And for those that want a bit of a precursor for what's going on with the twos tonight with me, yours truly, up at the Fraction, SNS live on all of the channels at 7 o'clock, leading into, I know, exactly, Abby. Too many technical things for John to do. You don't want that. No. But be safe, my friend. Great to see you yesterday. And you better put that Magna Carta under lock and key for the sake of it being under lock and key.
Locking it down. I'm locking it down now.
There we go. Thanks, Tyler.
Thank y'all.
All right. There's Tyler. Hot tag. We believe in the hot tag here on the show. Starting hour number 2, wasting no time, Dylan Butler, the busiest man in the Northeast. Good morning.
How are you?
We are living the frenzy of the Open Cup.
Open Cup, Can Champ. It is the best. I feel like those. I'm a big fan of MLS After Dark. I'm a big fan of Chaos.
Yes.
Chaos FC, I guess, is our team here.
Absolutely, it is.
So in that sense, I'm a big fan of MLS After Dark. But I think Open Cup and Can Champ deliver it at a higher level.
Well, and specifically for everybody that missed Can Champ yesterday, they had an 11 o'clock kick because it was it was Students' Day.
Yes.
And
in the most Canadian championship way possible.
Yeah, and so it was Forge and CF Montreal, never to be impacted.
Tim Hortons Field.
Yes, at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, where, I mean, if they were smart yesterday at the home of Forge FC, they handed out Timbits to the kids as they wandered in the door.
Yeah, you want to get them energized up for the game.
Oh, absolutely. So you had an 11 o'clock kick yesterday in Can Champ. You had the magic of the Open Cup day 1 last night, and we played it as a part of our cold open this morning. You had goalie on goalie PK to decide a lower division winner in Les Rouges, with Detroit City knocking off the defending champs. How you like that for chaos, sir?
Yeah, that is a full cup of Tim Hortons coffee worth of chaos.
Well, that's the best part of it, man. I mean, that's we only had on the scale of boring to chaos, where the Jeff Goldblum character in Jurassic Park would be loving the activity since he is a chaotician. Where would you rank last night on a scale of 1 to a PhD in chaos? Where would you rank last night?
Well, I will say that what I failed to mention, obviously, then is the CONCACAF chaos as well, right? Where anything can happen, dogs running on fields and all that. So we didn't have that.
No.
So I feel like that ramps up the chaos meter.
True.
I would say maybe 7.
Okay.
We'll go 6.5, 7.
Because the reason I ask is because we only had 7 matches last night in Open Cup. And so with the 9 happening tonight, do you anticipate, like we traditionally see in the March College Hoops Tournament, where in the opening rounds, if we have a day of complete and total chaos, the next day is kind of it's just boring and you get chalk. So what are you anticipating tonight? If you said that last night was a 7, are you anticipating more chalky tonight?
I mean, I don't know. I'm on the desk tonight, so I'm hoping, I guess, for chaos, just to keep me engaged, right, or more engaged, I should say.
Ooh, yeah. So you get the desk tonight.
Yeah.
Ooh, see,
and we have some champ action too.
Okay, well, okay. So yesterday, Forge in Montreal. It's a two leg section right there with them.
With away goals, yeah.
Yeah, Tulsa beat Pittsburgh last night 1-0. Philip Goodrum, former Atlanta United 2 scoring rep, got the goal for Tulsa. And we imagine that Bob Lilly is still yelling at his players after what happened last night at Highmark, getting the loss. I mean, he might have thrown them into the river after what happened last night. I don't know. You're losing at home to Tulsa the way that you did, as you were a decided favorite. Vancouver over Cavalry at Atco Field. Loudon goes on the road, and apparently they're playing each other again this weekend in USL Championship. So Loudon, I think, is just going to hang out there and play Orange County twice. Once in Open Cup and once in USL Championship. And San Jose beat the Dom Dwyer Oakland Roots last night and got a rare win. So I think that everything I think in that division anyway is going through Sacramento. So that's just, that's what I'm thinking is going to happen there anyway. Is San Jose and Sacramento are going to play in the next round. Today, one that we're paying attention to with lower divisions, Charleston and South Georgia Tormenta, trying to look at so let me ask you this. NYCFC 2 and Colorado Springs Switchbacks. A lot of folks are looking at this one going, the Hudson River Twos have a chance in this one, even though they are a decided underdog, as this one is played at Belson Stadium on the lovely campus of St. John's University.
My alma mater.
Now, so let me ask you this. Does NYCFC 2 have a snowball's chance in St. John's of getting the win here? Because Colorado Springs has not done well to start things off this year.
Yeah, it's the beauty of the cup, right? They'll certainly be comfortable. Listen, Belson Stadium is a unique, one of the more unique facilities, I think, in a country full of unique soccer facilities.
How so, pray tell?
It is on top of a parking lot. So when the decision was made, rightfully so, that St. John's deserved their own soccer stadium, right? They had just come off of winning a national championship, which, by the way, I was on the radio call for the student station when they won said national championship.
Please tell me you still have that tape.
I do. Yeah.
That's
I have to. I gotta make it digital, but I have like the machine to do that.
Okay.
I also have the championship ring.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So the decision was made. Now, St. John's, listen, it's in the middle of Queens, right? Like, where are you putting it on a campus that's already kind of busting at the seams? And they picked a spot, and then of course there was outrage because you're taking away so much parking, and they said, well, hang on, we'll raise it and you'll have parking underneath and around. And so that was the decision that was made. So it is always on a campus that is windy, it's always the windiest place around. You miss a kick, you might land it on a car underneath. It's a long trip for the ball boys to go retrieve a ball. That is for sure. They get the netting all around, but that doesn't always help. But yeah, it's different, right? So I think all of those things probably an advantage to NYCFC 2.
So let me get this straight. So and this fits right into our wall passness on a Wall Pass Wednesday. So you, sir, are telling me that every single time we watch a match from Belson Stadium on the beautiful bustling campus of the Red Storm of St. John's University, that it is on top of a parking structure where if the ball bounces an unanticipated way, it could end up hitting cars underneath said turf because it is above a parking structure that has its natural.
So there's already there was the largest parking area on campus, and then they built the field up, so underneath is parking, right? Underneath Belson Stadium is parking, but then right around it as well is parking. So it would be a difficult, like you'd have to hit a really badly struck, I think, corner to just launch it out. Because if you look at when you watch a broadcast and it's going to face the benches, like if you kick it over that side, that is landing on a car. There's no doubt.
Okay.
There's no doubt. And if you kick it over either net and it goes over there, could also land on a car.
Okay. All right. So now I know that this is possible.
Yeah.
I feel like Paul Harvey, and now you know the rest of the story. So this is going to add to my fascination every time I watch NYCFC2 now, looking for balls that will not be returned because they have hit automobiles. I'm going to be waiting for car alarms to go off now.
So another cool thing for you, the Met Oval is one of my favorite places. It's also in Queens. It has this unbelievable view of the New York skyline.
Okay.
Like if it's when you have to go down, it's like literally like an oval, right? So like when you go from street level, you walk downstairs, you walk down the hill, but when you walk in, you're looking straight across at the New York City skyline. On one side, I think it's the benches side, are like just the houses, backyards of houses, and on the other side is train tracks. So the story goes that I think the Brooklyn Knights play there, and then Met Oval obviously play there. So balls that have been kicked over into backyards, the story goes, were then sold back to the club.
What's
so
the
not given back.
What's the worth to you?
Exactly.
That's awesome. Abby
is a very Queens thing to do.
Yes, Abby is asking if you could pray to Mother Nature to improve the weather the next few days. She's not happy with all the expected rain. She is wandering up there to see Mr. William Joel in concert, I believe.
Oh, very nice. Right, but I think you're going to be indoors, right? So you think you should be fine.
Okay, so she might have some sightseeing and things to do, and getting.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, I'll try. Listen, I can make a few calls for you. We'll see what we can do.
Can you talk to Lloyd Lindsay Young, perhaps? And make sure that Queens, Flushing, Meadows, Huntington,
I'll tell you, the Garden is a rocking place right now, huh?
Well, yeah, we were watching. It is walking to the Garden, all walking that she likes to do in her hometown. So yeah, she is walking to the Garden, but it's all the streets and walking and everything.
For sure, yeah.
But yeah, we did have on alternate televisions last night. We did have the Rangers and Canes, by the way. And
yes,
we were watching that while the Open Cup was going on off our left shoulder. We did have the Rangers and Canes, and Jake Gensel, who got the A gap punch of a lifetime, going right through two linesmen to get the shot in there early, double OT. It was fun. But you're on the desk tonight for Open Cup, and obviously after NYC, you're looking at Sporting Kansas City and the Murder Owls of Union Omaha, RSL New Mexico United, LAFC, and Las Vegas at Cashman Field. Joey Bats might be in attendance, and he might sit there and chuck a bat or something as a part owner of Las Vegas Lights. And then Seattle and Lou City, which is a sneaky good matchup at 10:30.
Well, also we have Saint Laurent against Toronto FC, right?
Oh yes, absolutely true. So a man, his Can Champ, and his Open Cup. This is what we're diving into.
Maybe one eye somewhere.
One
on the Knicks.
One, come on now. I was doing the math on Major League Soccer, and you and I both know
math isn't.
I know math is hard. There was no math on this show. It is difficult this year, and it almost, and as I say, we're at the 1/3 marker. We're at turn one of the tricky triangle at Pocono here, where we're at the 1/3 pole, and the number of teams that have not won on the road this year is unbelievable. You look at the Eastern Conference alone, and you have 7 of the 15 that have not won on the road yet. 3 of them, Columbus, Charlotte, NYC, 4 of them above the playoff bar right now. Then in the West, where it seems like everybody's winning on the road, you end up with another 4 of the 14 that have not won on the road this year. This seems somewhat uncharacteristic of what we're used to. 11 teams have not won on the road yet this year, as we are at turn one heading into the backstretch.
That is that is wild, wacky stuff.
It's wild, wacky stuff. Yes.
And you know, like you mentioned NYCFC in that, but you also have Columbus in there, right? Like a team that hasn't lost at home, but they've not won away either. Now, granted, they've got 3 draws, so they only have the 1 loss away from home. But yeah, it's you know, Sam Jones, who pens MLS Soccer's Daily Kickoff, often says it's really hard to win on the road in MLS. But yeah, no, that is a crazy stat that you just threw out there.
To this extent, I don't think I have seen it to this extent, this deep in a season in modern memory. I mean, maybe back to the days of movable type, we had something like this. You know, when Van Leeuwenhoek was in charge of the daily news release for Meyer left, Meyer left Fokker, or however it was in the old print. I mean, it's just wild to me that 4 teams above the playoff bar in the East haven't won on the road. Yeah, I know that we're talking draws and such, but I mean, it's just crazy that you would have this in a league that's difficult as it is. But I think once again, it speaks to A, the importance of winning at home, and B, how folks obviously are more comfortable at home and they're taking advantage of these early opportunities where folks are stacked at home and having these chances to do this kind of stuff.
But then also you have like it's like such a kind of discrepancy, right? Because then you look at the teams that are winning away, and it's like Cincinnati 4-1-1, right? Miami 3-1-1, Minnesota, right? Like they can't win at home, but they've got 4 wins away.
It's crazy.
Right? Vancouver is 3-0-1. Like,
can you explain this to me, sir?
No, I can't.
It appears that Messi and friends might be adding Angel Di Maria.
Sure.
Sure, why not? I give the league credit. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago for kind of opening the door a little bit when it comes to where folks are, who can be bought down, those kinds of things. Happy salary almost letting you know the information day. But I'm still trying to figure out how all of these pieces fit. And then you add in what might be happening in the summer window where it's like, okay, you're going to add a DP, you're going to do another U22. How are you going to handle things? I mean, the door is going to be intriguingly open again, but I still fear that we won't have all the information that we need to keep the black helicopters inside the hangar and not release them out at an Area 51 where we always seem to be having these discussions about how are they fitting everybody under the cap.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like
and LAFC with bringing in one of the most handsome men on the planet apparently in the summer.
Yeah, I think what I'm hoping is that maybe combining what MLS released and then what the MLS players will release with the salary numbers, maybe put the 2 of them together and more of the puzzle is revealed. But listen, I'm with you. We're both hockey guys. You want that full transparency. You want the full picture out there, and I think it then would silence the conspiracy theorists among us, right? Like on how these teams are managing to do that, right?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, it's and I think especially in MLS, like it speaks to like the sporting directors and the GMs and their crew. Like, man, that is a difficult job, right? Like just trying to fit these pieces in and trying to get like that circle piece into the square spot. And like,
yes,
it cannot be an easy job for like Chris Henderson and everyone else in that war room.
John Thorington, who gets Olivier Giroud, Bart Keeler, who is one of the hosts for the Soccer for US POD, says LAFC gets a pass because Giroud is handsome. So, I mean, that's, Yeah, y'all can spend.
Is that another element? Like it's a U22, it's a DP, it's
a GQ. It's a GQ. It's a GQ.
Yeah, so it doesn't count.
Right.
Only a certain amount counts against the.
Yes.
Cap.
So you have DP, you have TAM, you have high TAM, you have U22, and you have GQ.
So Beckham would have been in both.
Yes. Well, and that's the choice that LAG would have had to make, and Philip Anschutz would have had to sit there and go, okay, is he a GQ player or is he a DP?
Right.
And so that's the fun part. Derek Burgess, the head coach of the Decatur High, as he gets ready for a final tomorrow in the GHSA finals coming up in about 10 minutes. So when you look at the week that was in Major League Soccer, it seemed like it was upside down week, where you had Nashville scoring goals, and Nashville scoring goals in the form of Sam Surridge, who what is it that he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. You were having that with Sam Surridge up until last week. You end up with Philadelphia salvaging a point on a late golazo, which they seem to be doing a lot of this year. Messi and friends putting 6 on Red Bulls. What in the blue-ish happened to Red Bulls to where they gave up 6? What happened there?
And that was in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't over the course of 90 minutes, right? Didn't they lead 1-0 at the half in this one?
They did, sir.
Yeah, I mean that one like that when we spoke last week, I was like, that's one of the ones I want to watch. I'm interested in it because of what Red Bull did in that first meeting. It's they were 2 of the top 3 teams in the East, right? In terms of the table. So was definitely interested in that. And then it just became crazy, right? Like, to take you inside a little bit, like, we're on Slack and we're following it. We're like, oh, look at that. I was right up the Rojas Messi. All right, cool. And then it was like, hang on. He has another. Wait, no. How many assists does he have? All right. So what is the record now for like goal so it was an insane 45 minutes. And I still don't dude, I think my bandwagon is people are jumping off left and right. I don't still see this being sustainable over the long hot summer with Copa America.
No.
I don't see them as a Shield team.
Nope.
I don't.
Nope. I don't either.
But then they dropped 6.
Yeah. Well, but hey, goal difference. It helps out with Arsenal. Rojas 48th, Messi in the 50th, Rojas in the 62nd. Then Suarez scores 3 in 12 minutes, 69, 75, and 81 to make it 6-1. And
which nobody's talking about. What day of an MLS match week does Luis Suarez score a hat trick in 7 minutes? And it's that's the subplot of it. Main story.
And then Forsberg with an oh by the way at 90 plus 7. I'm still trying to figure out, and then we had I think we had this as a discussion with Bart in reffing down here as to how you end up with a yellow card for a tackle being what it was in the Miami match, and it not being an absolute red, where Tomas Aviles basically wants to lumberjack a player for Red Bulls and just gets a yellow card out of the deal. It seems like the Messi and friends rules carry over to teammates and cards just as much sometimes as it does to putting the ball in the back of the net and not getting fouls called. I'm just saying.
Maybe, yeah.
I'm just saying. The upside down week continued last week, where, like I said, we mentioned Nashville scoring. It's like, what is Nashville, and what have you done with Nashville scoring goals this season? You end up with
Walker Zimmerman comes back, right? And now they look like, at least for 90 minutes, they look like Nashville.
Yeah, San Jose put 3 on LAFC, and that's why I don't think LAFC is going to have a deep run in the postseason, because you have moments like this, and Steve Cherundolo has not been the same coach since literally they got bumped out of the CONCACAF Hemispheric Extravaganza last year. Toronto,
Christian Espinosa, by the way, real low key, having a terrific season on a team that's been bad, but now you bring in Hernan Lopez, and maybe things start to change there.
Well, and then maybe John Fisher moves him to Sacramento, and no, that's right. The Republic are there, so he can't do that. And talk about, hey, I'm looking forward to Lionel Messi, coming to San Jose, much like he does with Aaron Judge and his A's going to Sacramento. How did New England beat Chicago? Like I said, this was upside down week last week when it came to what we were staring at. And then Vancouver doesn't score against Austin. Colorado beats NYC at Citi Field, and Seattle and LAG, they didn't score at all. What in the hell is going on, Dylan? I ask you, sir, and I wag my index finger in general. What the hell is going on in this league? What the hell's going on around here?
And huge credit as well is due to Toronto. I also still I don't know if the rah emotional Herdman that we've seen with Canada, if that, I can't see how that translates across an entire season.
Yeah.
But listen, major points that they're getting, with their best player out, so many questions about the Italians and their interest or lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And Herdman's, listen, he's early stages, he's getting it done. Right. So, credit due to him for sure.
It's apparently rivalry week, sponsored by the league's favorite tire manufacturer. And you end up with, I'd love to know how Toronto and NYC is a rivalry.
Well, so it's rivalry week, but it's across 3 match days. So not every match on the weekend is a rivalry match.
Okay.
You'll have more on Wednesday and then more on the following weekend as well.
Thank you. Okay. Just checking.
But you do have
a
really tasty Hell is Real.
Yes, you do.
For multiple reasons. But I brought this up in one of our inside like MLS editorial meetings. But how about the last time, right? Like you have in a derby, in a rivalry, you have the Supporter Shield winner against the Cup winner. You have to go back, and I think Charles Bohm found it like 2012 with LA and San Jose in the Cali Clasico. And that's obviously like, we're a few, that was like MLS 1.5 or whatever it was, like, right. We're like at 3.0 or something right now. So in the league that it is now, with so many teams and so much parity, you've got that as a storyline, right? The Shield and Cup winners. You've got the one team knocking the other out of last year's playoffs. Columbus doing what they're doing in the Champions Cup. I mean, like that's your, like, I'm a 360 guy for multiple reasons.
Kevin Egan.
But like, that's going to have to be a split screen or something. I got to figure out that one, because that is must watch for sure.
Give me an Octobox and my buddy Kevin Egan at all times. What's going on with you? You're on the desk, so you're going to be paying attention to things tonight. What's going on this weekend? Are you on the desk again?
No, I have a rare Saturday off of the desk because I've got a big lacrosse game coming up. I had one yesterday. I've got another call today. Thankfully it's local, and then I'll just jet home for the Open Cup and Can Champ games. But it's called Reeves Rock.
Okay. It's
Chaminade and Manhasset, and it's named after Jimmy Regan, who was a Manhasset native who played at Chaminade. He wore number 19. His number is given out every year to the player that kind of earns that. But he was a guy who went on. He played at Duke. He was an All-American, a terrific player. He enlisted in the Army February of 2004. Spent 3 years in the Army, earned the Bronze Star, Purple Heart in Iraq and Afghanistan. Sadly, was killed in the line of duty in February of 2007. So this game, Chaminade remembers him every year by giving out his number, but this game also honors him every year between Manhasset and Chaminade. So it's a really cool cause there as well.
Nice. Varsity Media on the YouTubes and following at Dylan_Butler all the way through the weekend. My friend, it's always great to catch up with you to cover everything we do on a Wall Pass Wednesday. Be safe, and we'll catch up soon.
All right, buddy.
That's Dylan Butler with the mug, the blessed mug. That is
grateful.
Yeah, the grateful mug. I was close. It's same positivity that's there. The grateful mug. All right, we'll see you next week, Dylan.
All right, man.
All right, so Dylan's going to have more coffee, and this is where we go into the GHSA ranks. And I'm glad that Coach Burgess sent me the email to remind me that we had talked about 10:30 this morning. Morning, Coach.
Good morning. How are you doing?
All right. You're kind of busier than I am with more important stuff. So what has study hall been like this time, getting ready for the last match of the season?
Well, the good news for this game versus the last game, we got one more day to prepare, right? Which is great. And who doesn't want to be involved in the last game of the season, right? To be playing in May and still practicing in May means you've done a lot of good things during the season.
Yep. Matchup is tomorrow, and you get to go up against a McIntosh team that everybody stares at on a national level. And you got to do this as a 4 seed. You went to Cass. We had you on last week. And for those that didn't get the chance to see what was going on with you in the matchup against the Cass Colonels, break it down for everybody. What did they miss out on?
So it was an exciting game, and the crowd was an exciting crowd. We had a good traveling support there as well. The game started out, and we actually got up early in the first 5 minutes, 1-0. And we had some further opportunities in the first half where I think we should have extended our lead some. So at halftime, the discussion was like, guys, hey, we're doing really, really well. We've created chances. But we need to put those chances away. Let's be a little bit less selfish, a little bit more clinical, and more composed in front of goal. Second half started. It's kind of the same flow of the game. I think we was a little bit of the better team. Again, created some really good opportunities where I still don't know how to ball it in the back of the net. And then with 10 minutes to go, to Cass's credit, they didn't give up. They equalized. So we go into overtime. So we're in overtime, and myself and my coaching staff was like, hey, we're going for the win. So we made some aggressive changes, and we went for the win. And our 9th grader, TJ, just lashed the ball from about 25 yards out and was just unstoppable and almost busted back of the net. So to win the game with that type of goal, that quality of goal was fantastic. So here we are.
Was it one of those moments where he's launching into it and you're going, no, and then a great idea? Was it one of those moments, or did you kind of see it develop from the side where you're like, yeah, that's a great idea, go for it?
No, well, we had the perfect angle from the sideline, right? You saw it going in. Before it hit the back of the net, the whole bench was shouting, goal, 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 right? And he hit it with such a velocity, it knuckled a little bit. So even though the goalkeeper was right there, it was really little that he can do. I mean, if I was the opposing coach, I couldn't even blame the goalkeeper because it was hit with that velocity and momentum.
So it's definitely one of those tip your hat moments. The way that it was struck, you're like, yep, that you tip your hat on that one. You take it and you go on from there.
Yeah, most definitely.
15-5-3. You came through as a 4 seed in region. We've had you on SDH a couple times this year. We've had matches where you've gotten ready for your postseason. Has it sunk in, other than, study hall and knowing that you're going to be going up against McIntosh, has it sunk in that you've made this run that you've made as a 4 seed where you've had to do it on the road all the way through?
Yeah, well, I mean, we always thought that we had the talent, right? And we didn't think it would be a miracle to be where we are today, right? We thought it was possible. We thought we had the talent, right? And as I've said to the boys all week, the hardest part about being a champion is actually getting there, right? So even though we're in a championship match versus a powerhouse of McIntosh, we feel that we've done the hardest part already, which is just to get here. So with that belief in each game that we've played, we've gotten more and more confident in terms of how we want to work, how we want to prepare, and what's needed to be successful. And now it's just a normal process, right, in terms of how we function, which the results are shown on the field. We're able to tweak how we want to play at times to get the result. And we got a few different weapons that we haven't shown everybody yet. So we're confident going in. We know we're the underdogs. We know most people don't expect us to win. We know a lot of people's rooting for us because we are the underdogs. But if we walk off the field successful in winning the game on Thursday, it won't be a shock to us.
And you're getting it from an underclassman, in Isaac Klein, who's given you 19 and 13 this year, 19 goals, 13 assists. Kimball Bryant, a junior that's been there for you. So you're getting it from different places. What's it like to have someone like Isaac who is performing at the level that he's performing as a sophomore? You're getting experience and you're getting maturity from someone who's an underclassman. What's that like?
It's fantastic to have that, right? When you look at varsity teams, a lot of times, just being in general, one of the first things to stick out is how many juniors and seniors does a team have? Because it kind of gives, a sense of how experienced this team is, right? So if you look at our roster, you'll be like, man, is this their varsity team or the JV team, right? And age is just a number. It's, can we put these players in an environment to help them mature ahead of the curve, right? Can we challenge them in practice? Can we challenge them in the off season to expedite that process? And a lot of people think like we just turned this on, but this is a year in the making. We're not surprised at all to be talking to you today, to be playing tomorrow, and to be still practicing.
The mere fact that the number of goal scorers you have, I mean, you've got an entire classroom of goal scorers this year. I want to say that it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 different folks that have scored for you. To have all of these different weapons where you've scored north of 100 goals, I think, if memory serves, and it's close to it, 95 goals this season. But you've got all of these different goal scorers that speak to obviously what you guys are doing there this year and making sure that while if someone might focus on Isaac, then someone else is going to help you out. All these double-digit goal scorers, that's great, but you've got others that you have to account for. That's a fantastic luxury to have when it comes to the opposition prepping for you.
Yeah, so, we have a style of play that we want to play, right? But we also have different characteristics. Each of our players have a different set of characteristics, right? So if we need to create a different set of problems for the opposition, we don't necessarily have to change our style, but we can bring on a different type of player, right? So, for example, we've got one player, Eli Beard. He's 6'7", right? He's a sophomore. All his career, he has played as a defender. This is his first year playing on the varsity team. Not once did I put him in as a defender. He's now playing as a forward, right? So imagine a 6'7" defender who's now a forward and how uncomfortable that can be, right? TJ Smith, he's 6'4", up in there as well. So if I got both of those guys on, you're talking about a good 13 feet of problems to deal with. So then you bring in Isaac Klein, who is, on the shorter side of the scale. But again, it's a different set of problems, right? So we're able to change our identity without changing our style of play by bringing in different types of personnel. And that's some of the things that we've been able to do, which reflects in the amount of different types of goals and goal scorers that we currently have.
So, McIntosh, what has Study Hall been like getting ready for a nationally recognized program like we see with Brian Messer, Bunky Colvin, and the Chiefs? What's that been like?
Well, McIntosh, they've been one of the pace setters for the last couple of seasons, right? You could look at them at times and they have some great players. You could look at them at times and they have some solid players. But one thing they always have is a solid team that play hard, that grind, that makes it uncomfortable. They're in your face. They let you know that they're here, right? So it's, can we adjust to that? Can we maintain our composure to be able to compete with them? Because talent-wise, I feel our group can compete with anybody, right? But now we're at the stage of the season that it's going to come down to who's got the strongest mind, who's got the strongest discipline, who can execute in those key moments. So that's a test that we have to pass tomorrow, and we'll be preparing for that.
7:30, so you're the nightcap at Duluth High School. For all of this anticipation, how do you try to keep everything reined in so the guys aren't, jumping off the walls and acting like they had, 4 cups of espresso too early in the day, or they had like Pop Rocks or something to get all amped up? How do you keep them in control, knowing that it's a night game playing for a championship instead of something earlier in the day?
So our game day routine, we get together at 3:00. So from 3 until kickoff, we're together. And, what I've said to our senior players, our captains, so that's the Kimball Bryants, that's the Jacob Infingers, Ada Martinellis, and Jude and Liam's, is set the example of what's needed. Display the character, display the professionalism that we need from our underclassmen. So I just have a word for 3 or 4 of our players, and that trickles down to everybody else, right? So it makes my job as a coach much easier, because we got some fantastic leaders within our team.
Looking forward to it. Tomorrow at Duluth on the NFHS Network, Decatur, who has charged through as a 4 seed from the low right section of the bracket, knocking off Greenbrier on the road, going to Hamilton, beating Harris County on the road, going to Chattahoochee, beating Chattahoochee on their turf, and then going to Cass and getting off at exit 296, I believe, if memory serves, to the Cassville White Road exit. And you're going to Duluth to take on McIntosh tomorrow night at 7:30. Coach, it's been great to catch up with you all season long. Good luck against McIntosh. We'll be keeping an eye on you in the NFHS Network. Be safe, get there, and have a great match.
Thank you, John.
That's Coach Burgess, and that is how things are going to break down with him and Decatur. We bring in Jarrett Smith now for the however long Jarrett's going to hang out with us.
We'll figure it out.
Now that you've had a chance, we caught up with Tyler in hour number 1. We caught up with Dylan in hour number 2 before Coach Burgess came on to talk about Decatur getting ready for McIntosh. We'll hear from Brian Messer tomorrow at noon on Soccer's in Session. It's kind of been study hall for you now too, because if memory serves, you get Roswell and Marist and Sprayberry and River Ridge tomorrow. That's accurate, right?
That is right. I get Roswell and Marist and Sprayberry River Ridge. 5 o'clock, the girls' game will be Roswell and Marist. 7:30 will be Sprayberry and River Ridge.
And we've had River Ridge on. The network a couple of times. What's it been like getting prepped for those couple of matchups that you and Justin Hanover are gonna be calling on the NFHS network?
Honestly, just catching up on what they've done this season and the last few seasons. The one that stuck out to me, John, in the research was River Ridge and the rise of River Ridge in like the last 4 years.
Yep.
In a program, a program that was very middle of the road, bottom, kind of the bottom third a lot of times.
Yeah.
And now just kind of burning villages down as they go. Very, very cool. As someone who went to and participated in an athletic department that was in that realm on its best of days, it's very cool to see someone come in and wreck the Blue Bloods a little bit,
Yeah, and it's been fun to see what Philip Thomas and River Ridge have been able to do, and top ranked nationally depending on the poll, and it literally is like the old Everready commercial. It's like I've got the battery on my shoulder, knock it off, I dare you. And we had the North Atlanta match on the network in the semifinal, and their defense is just absolutely suffocating. And I think that's going to be one of the bigger tests in your matchup with Sprayberry. Sprayberry, no slouch either, top 5 nationally coming in. But the River Ridge team has been far different than when we saw them with Roswell in our first match of the season, and we had them for our last match for match day 34. Their defense is absolutely suffocating, and Kingston Courts, I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the last match of the year.
Yeah, man, that's the thing is, like, as much as we sit here and talk about defense being suffocating, Courts can pretty much do whatever he wants. So there's that.
And so it's going to be fun. You and Justin Hanover at 5 o'clock and 7:30, NFHS Network, Roswell Marist on the girls' side. Half hour after the completion of that one, unless they slide the clock to get everybody back on time.
Or unless we get extra time.
Yes. Sprayberry and River Ridge on the boys' side tomorrow. So you were at the fraction last night and got to see Atlanta United and Nick Firmino, the Magic Man, El Diablo, and see Nick Firmino and Daniel Rios get the work done against Charlotte Independence. You knew they were going to put 72 players behind the ball. Coach Jeffries took them a little while with the adjustments at the half added to it, and you end up getting 3-0 on the board by the time they were done.
They don't ask how, they ask how many, and how many was 3, and it could have been more. Like you said, it was tough to break down. Pointed out during the game that when Atlanta's in their metaphorical half court, Charlotte's sitting in a 5-4-1.
Yes. And
there's not a lot of space. And the space that you're creating is taking 2 and 3 movements. It's guys moving and then another guy moving and then finally a third guy having to occupy that space, which is fine. I mean, that's how you create space. You can't just run around like a chicken with your head cut off. But I was really impressed with the kids. This is what we wanted to see. It's part of the Open Cup is you're going to see kids play.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see second team guys play. As much as I know he is maligned, you're going to see Ronald Hernandez as much as fans. They have their dislike of Ronald Hernandez, and I get it. Ronald Hernandez is not a starter for this team. For me, he is a key depth piece, though, in that he works hard. He is a team guy. He will do whatever you ask of him.
Yep.
And you have to have that guy on your team. You're not asking him to start a lot of games, God forbid, because he's not consistent enough to be a difference maker. But he will do whatever it takes for the team. He will work hard, and you have to have a guy like that on your roster. And you have him, and he gets away with a foul on the edge of the box, possibly in the box in the first half.
Yeah,
which was also one of the classic. Buddy was looking for it too, because there's a stretch in the end of that first half where Charlotte is looking for any card they can find on Atlanta.
Yes.
It got a couple of them got a little ridiculous as the half went on, but they're trying to break through. They're trying to find what they can. They're trying to take their chances when they can. And when you're a third division team playing an MLS club, even an MLS club that rotates, that's what you're looking for. You're just kind of being guarded, and when you get your chances, you have to take them.
Yep.
I don't know if you talked. I assume you may have done it for opening kickoff, but the Detroit City game.
Yeah, we played the last goalie v goalie PK. Didn't talk about it in depth, but we did play the goalie v goalie PK clincher.
But go look at the goals that Detroit scored. Two of them are absolutely golazzos. The first one of which should have been on SportsCenter.
Yeah,
if it wasn't, it's because ESPN doesn't really give a damn about soccer and domestically.
Yes.
They'll talk about Champions League. They'll talk about the World Cup. They'll talk about the Euros. They don't really care about domestic stuff, but it should have been, because it's an absolute monster, and you have to have those. You have to have perfect execution when you get your chances to pull a cup set.
Yep.
And Charlotte did not have that last night. I thought they defended pretty well, and when Atlanta was breaking through, I thought Atlanta worked really well building those communities. I think a lot of it is you have that mix of veterans and young players. Gonzalo Pineda talked about that. Actually, the Stian Gregerson concussion sub really threw off what he wanted, which was to have veterans and kids mixed together, but for those young players to have someone to lean on. You had Efrain Morales, who's continued to impress, back there with Stian Gregerson. The idea being that Stian could be the guy that Efra could lean on and have someone behind him. And, Gregerson makes a header, kind of a twisting header that might have contributed to the concussion test that you do, where he kind of reaches behind him and hits it away.
Contorts,
Yeah, in the first half. And, he supports his teammate in that moment. And that's what you wanted us to. Now, hopefully he's okay. We'll figure out more stuff this week as we hear about the lead into the weekend. But it's one of those things that I know everybody was really upset when he went down, but I wondered if it was that header or if it was taken on off the dome when he was in the wall for one of the free kicks.
Yeah. Because
the way he sat down and the way they did the concussion protocols, I didn't think it was a knee thing or a leg issue. I thought it was more of he is woozy and he needs to sit down.
Yeah.
And he does not feel right, and it benefits his team if he will just take a seat.
Yeah.
And let someone come in and do the job. But Noah Kopp did really well. Look, that pairing back there is one that you're fine with Noah and Efra, because
we've seen it for years, brother.
Oh yeah, they played together for so long. I was really impressed with the kids up top. Luke Brennan, I'm still on the give Luke Brennan minutes this weekend train.
Yeah.
Because he did exactly what you needed him to do. It wasn't life changing. It wasn't. He's going to want the assist. Ashton Gordon's going to want the goal.
Yeah. From
the chance they created with a really, really good save. But Brennan being able to run in behind and run at guys was great. And I thought the chemistry he had on the right-hand side, especially with Jay Fortune.
Yep.
Jay was great. Jay kind of flew under the radar, I thought, because he doesn't get a goal or an assist in this game, but he was just living in those half spaces and finding gaps in the lines constantly. He and Nick Firmino both were finding those spaces, and it opened things up for other guys. But little interplay on the right side between Brennan and Jay Fortson was absolutely great. And you worked hard, you got your chances, and Pineda talked about it after the match. You have to take those chances when you get them, especially when teams sit in a deeper block like that, because the longer it goes, those teams get more hope. Because if you get one of those goals earlier, the game probably opens up. It might be even worse.
Yep.
You go back to the Minnesota game. If Saba puts his shot on frame, or Gigi isn't saved when he heads that ball into the ground, that game changes. Mm-hmm. Minnesota has to come out and has to do something different. Atlanta can play maybe a little bit more looking for those transitional opportunities that they don't have to manually create through overloads and through switches and through trying to bait pressure into their defending third. You have to take advantage of those chances. You did last night. It took you a little bit of time, but you pushed, which you had to do. You had to go for it, and then you were able to find the chances and then put them away. Flowers to Nick Firmino for putting them away and becoming the third player to have a brace in U.S. Open Cup history for Atlanta United.
Yep. Luke Brennan last night on SofaScore punched an even 7.
Sounds about right.
And his heat map is stilted. I mean, it is just all right-hand side in the attack. 33 touches, 15 of 18 passing, 1 key pass, 1 successful cross, a big chance created, 1 blocked shot, 2 for 3 on the dribble, 3 of 8 on his duels, 1 pick and a tackle. Dax McCarty, you mentioned, well, let me go to Jay first. So Jay on the day, according to SofaScore, punched an 8. Once again, right half in the attack. Played the full 90, 78 touches, 55 of 62 passing, 3 key passes, 5 successful crosses on 7 attempts, 3 successful long balls on 7 attempts, 1 blocked shot, 1 for 1 on the dribble, 2 for 4 on his ground duels. Then you had also 1 block, 3 picks, a tackle, and a dribble pass for a Johnny Fortune last night who punched an 8 on the clock.
Jay, I mentioned it last night that if you've watched Jay over the years, there's something very enjoyable about watching him in this phase of his career because he is growing very, very quickly. He's very good. He's getting better and better. Because I had this discussion with somebody outside before the game of they wanted more from. They wanted to see Dax more. Well, I think we all love Dax, and you'll get minutes with Dax as the season goes on, as the schedule compression hits. Mm-hmm. But they love Jay, and there's a reason they love him. He's done very well, and I think a lot of what Dax was here to do is to help coach up Jay and to help teach him and be a mentor. Nick Firmino as well is a part of that. Nick Firmino talked about Dax in postgame. That he's a guy he's known for years, and you can learn something from Dax every day. And Dax will encourage them to go forward, take risks, try and make something happen. I'm back here. I got you covered.
Yep.
I'll protect you. Go make something happen. And that has to be just immense feeling. If you are an attacking player, knowing you have someone like that who's telling you, hey, go for it. I got you. I got you back. And you got a veteran like Dax who just does the job. That's very good when he has the ball at his feet. Very good at reading the game. And kind of that Michael Parkhurst role of he's not as fast as he was, but he reads it well enough to make up for it. So really cool to see. Really cool to see Jay just continue to grow. Like I said, the way he was finding those half spaces. Nick Firmino talked about it. The way that 5-4-1 stat for Charlotte, it forced Atlanta outside. So Nick started drifting to the left, combining with Ashton Gordon, who was really good. And then Jay drifted out to the right and was combining with Luke Brennan, who was really good. You were finding those kind of combinations there and trying to unbalance Charlotte, and you did a good job of that because it's tricky in those situations. Like we said, the longer you let that team hang around, the trickier it gets. And where you go next will get decided tonight. And look, Dell,
babe,
I promise it's not personal, but the majority of people here are going to want it to be Tormenta. for the Georgia connections. Also, Tormenta holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts in this state because of winning a title a couple of years. Hell, they did the double a couple of years ago, men and women. And it would be a lot of people just want an excuse to go to Statesboro to watch a soccer match with Atlanta United. If you asked me to put what's the closest holiday for us that has candy?
Oh, that has candy. I thought you were going to say.
Easter.
Yeah, well, let's see. Hang on. All right, so
it's like Easter candy. Like if you're asking me to put like a Reese's egg on this game,
yeah,
I'm putting my Reese's egg. My head is saying put the Reese's egg on Charleston. My heart is putting a Reese's egg on Tormenta because I want to see Atlanta have to go play below the net line.
Might actually be July 4th would be the next actual holiday.
Yeah,
but I don't.
But
like one with candy.
or any kind of treat like 4th of July, you could do like s'mores, I guess, or like a bomb pop.
Yeah, I mean the next one with candy might take a while because. Yeah. I mean, Halloween would be the next candy holiday, and that's the tail end of month number 10. So, I mean, that's going to be a long one. Unless you give your mom candy and you just sit there and say it's a Mother's Day kind of a thing.
Yeah, we'll go with the clearance aisle Reese's eggs from Easter.
Okay, like the ones I have in the freezer here at the Hacienda.
That's where you should keep them at all times.
Absolutely.
But if you ask me to bet my head, it's going to be Charleston.
Yeah.
If you ask me to bet with my heart and with the sickos, then it's going to be Tormenta. Because, again, we want to see Georgia go south in that line.
Yep. Tormenta, by the way, is a plus 536 in the composite with the juice boxes tonight. 90-minute draws a plus 3.25. Charleston favored at a minus 227. Other matches tonight, Indy 11 is plus 229 hosting San Antonio. Harry's staring at a plus 106. North Carolina, that reminds me, I'm going to get Dean Linke's drop and add that to the drops too. North Carolina is a plus 142 hosting Phoenix Rising on the road. Your draw is a plus 209 Rising or a plus 187. 7:30. And this is the one that the true sickos will rejoice. And we got a lot of details from Dylan about Belson Stadium on the campus of St. John's. It's built on top of a parking structure. It is built on top of a parking structure. Fantastic. NYC is an underdog at a plus 200 with Colorado Springs coming to town at a plus 110. 7:30. Rowdies a minus 135 hosting Birmingham Legion, who are a plus 315. Murder Owls at 8 o'clock. Plus 428 in the composite, hosting Sporting Kansas City, who are a minus 192. 9 o'clock, New Mexico United, plus 313 in the composite, hosting RSL, who are a minus 133. 10:32 starts out west. Vegas Lights, plus 400, hosting LAFC at a minus 175. Draws a plus 305 at Cashman. And then the intriguing one later than late. Seattle hosting Lou City at Starfire. Seattle's a minus 185. Lou City's a plus 429 in that one, but that one has Palace intrigue written all over it.
Yeah, that is peak MLS or U.S. Open Cup after dark. Seattle hasn't been able to score consistently. Man, that could get real dumb real quick.
Mm-hmm.
Vegas Lights and LAFC could get real dumb real quick too. Vegas Lights were the affiliate for LAFC for a minute there.
Yes.
Kind of has a Atlanta Charleston kind of vibe to it. Maybe not as much of a connection. I don't know how close they work together. That could be dumb. Rowdies and Legion is basically like watching those two play in this game is going to be like locking two people in a phone booth and giving each of them a bike chain, and they're just going to start beating each other with it. Sporting Kansas City, Union Omaha. I think, are we back in the Peter Vermes should be nervous stage? Although I don't know that Peter Vermes would have to fire Peter Vermes. So
yes, it's like Peter. Peter,
how are you feeling about Peter?
Peter.
Yeah, Seattle, Lou City's gonna be the one to watch. I think that's gonna be the weird one. And then, of course,
Late night.
We'll be keeping up with Charleston.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you go from Charleston and Tormenta, then you go and focus on what you kind of keep yourself occupied till you get to Lou City and Seattle out at Starfire at 10:30. So
yeah, that'll be dumb.
Yes,
in the nicest way possible.
Yes, Soccer for Good OG is suggesting barbecue or picnic side dishes that you would.
Yes, that also works. Now we have to rank picnic side dishes.
Potato salad versus the potato salad with the raisins, which I would never touch anyway.
No, do not put raisins in my potato salad, please.
So OG is saying baked beans, corn on the cob, mac and cheese, veggie tray, red velvet cake, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I would put the veggie tray on Tormenta and Charleston. That's what I would do, or the baked beans.
Is that because you don't like them?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, the veggie tray, I believe. I didn't know you didn't like baked beans. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, unless you have it with the bacon in there, and the bacon helps settle the taste issues with the baked beans.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
Yeah.
I see. I will push away the corn on the cob. I would rather have Mexican street corn.
Okay, I'm down with that.
Mac and cheese. Well, mac and cheese has so much variety. It's hard to just sit here and say mac and cheese. It's like talking to someone and them telling you they speak Mandarin. You're like, okay, well, that doesn't narrow it. That only narrows it down slightly, not nearly enough. I'm gonna need more detail from you on that.
Yes, I need more. I need more details, sir.
Let's see, what else can you put on your side dishes, or even your cut of meat, and your sauce.
Yeah.
Sure, people in Charleston have their
I'm sure that their
sauce steaks and their barbecue.
Yeah,
sauce.
the white sauce versus normal barbecue. I'm sure that's probably what you would end up doing when it comes to
I will not accept Alabama white barbecue sauce.
Well, isn't there like a Carolina white sauce that's more vinegary when it comes to those kinds of applications?
I don't know if it's vinegary. Or if it's a white sauce, excuse me.
Yeah, I think it's a white sauce in Carolina. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's what it is. I was trying to think. Man, where's Dell when I need it? Because the place that I had recommended to me, in Charleston, is the Tattooed Moose.
Okay.
Apparently they have duck fat fries, and I think it was like a duck sandwich or a duck club. That is apparently very, very good.
Okay.
Yeah. So if we ever get down to Charleston, we need to do the Tattooed Moose. Is what I'm
okay. Wiley likes the mustard-based barbecue sauces. So
I agree, Wiley. That's my preference as well. I'm fine with vinegar-based. I'm fine with ketchup-based. I'm not going to be too picky in any capacity. But I as well prefer if I get a choice, I'm taking the mustard base. Although when we were in Nashville a couple weeks ago, went up to Nashville for a concert, and we stopped off at some barbecue joint that apparently used to be on the grounds of the prison in Nashville. Yeah, you know how it goes.
Yeah, well, as you do.
Yeah, it was really good. Like I got a rack of ribs, and every rib I picked up didn't have meat on it.
Oh
just falling off as you pick up the bone.
Yes.
It's great.
Yes.
But they had good sauce choices too. But yeah, mustard base is my preference as well. I do not like the mayo based Alabama white sauce. I know people like it. To each their own. It doesn't do it. It doesn't do it for me. It does not move the needle at all.
Okay. What to watch? Where to watch it? Being in Espanol, simulcasting Copa Libertadores tonight, doubleheader San Lorenzo and Independiente del Valle, Colo-Colo and Fluminense at 6 and 8. That is, you can get that on Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. And it helps out the show, helps out the network, helps them out with subscribers, helps you out with being a complete and total degenerate when it comes to what you watch for soccer. They've got all the BNs, Nuestra Tele, For the Fans, Goal TV, Liga 1 Max. It's all there. Trust me. You can add to your complete and total degenerateness by signing up for Fanatis, ftz.co/soccer down here. Jason got me hooked. I blame him. CBS Sports Network has Europa League at 3, Bayer Leverkusen and Roma. Fox Deportes at 2 has the league that we neither condone, endorse, nor promote. 2 to NA has Europa League at 3, Liga MX playoffs, 8:30 and 11. Pumas and Cruz Azul, followed by Tigres and Monterrey. Unimas is simulcasting Europa League. ESPN Plus has your Belgian Cup final, Union Saint-Gilloise and Royal Antwerp. That one is in the second half right now. League 2, it is the team that abandoned the city of Wimbledon, and I hope they lose at Crawley Town, or against Crawley Town. Peacock has Europa League and Europa Conference League at 3 o'clock. Atalanta, Marseille, Olympiacos, and Aston Villa. VIX has Europa League and Europa Conference League. Bayer Leverkusen, Roma, and Atalanta and Marseille. That takes care of Thursday. Jared, any other thoughts before we get out of here?
Yes, actually, I'm going to draw everyone's attention because I have your ears temporarily to Scotland. Again, what else is new?
Yes.
We're doing the women's side again. Okay.
Yes.
Look, I told people last year, pay attention to the SWPL, the women's professional league over there, because last year it was a triple threat match.
Yep.
You had Celtic Rangers and Glasgow City, who's a traditional power in the women's side over there. The three of them went into the final day of the season battling it out for the title. Celtic was in position to win it, and like Manchester City, Man U, Aguero moment kind of thing. And Glasgow scored in like the 88th minute, 89th minute, something like that, to win the title. It's just an absolute ball of a season and an ending of the season.
Yes.
Well, you're kind of there again. Although Glasgow City's fallen out, now it's Celtic and Rangers who have invested more and more money into the women's side. Other clubs are starting to pick up as well. Proud of you, Aberdeen, for making the women's job a full-time posting instead
There
of
you
part-time
go.
posting. You get a pat on the head for that. Now what you're looking at is Celtics never won a women's title. They're even on points with 3 games apiece. They played each other at Ranger Stadium. They don't play at Ibrox or Celtic Park. I forget the name of Ranger Stadium. I know Celtic plays at Excelsior Park for the women's side. Occasionally they'll play it at the bigger stadiums for the big turnouts. But they played each other this weekend to a draw. They're even on points. Celtic has I think a 15-goal advantage in goal difference, which is the first tiebreaker. Like Celtic's goal difference is like 101, 105 or something.
Wow.
And Rangers is like 90. So Celtic also lost their manager in the middle of the season because Fran Alonso took the Houston Dash job.
Correct.
Celtic is trying to win their first women's title. Rangers, if they win this, look, they've already won one cup. They're in a final for another one. They had to beat Celtic for one cup. They beat Celtic in the semifinal for the other. If they win this, they're staring straight in the face of a treble, which would be wild and awesome because these two teams are just, dogfight every week. There's a very good chance that this comes down to goal difference, and we see Rangers and Celtic try and put up 5 goals a game because Rangers is going to have to put up FIFA numbers to catch Celtic on the goal difference. 3 games left for each side post-split. Tied on points. Goal difference is the difference maker. Celtic also would be winning with their first ever female manager managing their women's team. Keep a weather eye on that league. It was really good last year on the final day. There's a very good chance this one as well comes down to the final day.
Looking forward to it. So, Jarrett, we're going to be watching Open Cup tonight. We're going to talk about it tomorrow. Soccer's in session, starts noon. I'll be doing it from Georgia Public Broadcasting, so I got to pack up things because I go from Georgia Public to Mercedes-Benz to the Fraction tonight. A little after 7 o'clock pregame, 7:33 kick with Carolina Core and Atlanta United too. So for Jarrett, thanks to Derek Burgess at Decatur. Who else do we have? Thanks to Dylan. Thanks to Tyler. Thanks to all y'all. And we'll be back at it again tomorrow. Voices of the game today on Soccer's in Session. It is Mateen Rad. It is Luke Winstel. It is somebody named Matty Cruz and Jason coming in to let you know what's going on and what he's thought about everything so far. So voices of the game today for Soccer's in Session Live, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha Platiel. We are out the door. We'll see you in 50 minutes to talk high school with Soccer is in Session Live. So since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this and pack up and head to Georgia Public. We'll see you in a bit.